Hiya, Clara here. I just wanted to make a video today, but first of all, I'm going to put a bit of a trigger warning on it and just say that I am going to be talking about mental health and things related to self-harm. So if that might trigger something that, you don't want to hear, then please don't watch the video. Also, if you are experiencing like distress or any problems with your mental health, get in touch with people that can help you. Try phoning 111+2, or if you're in crisis and really need urgent help, go to A&E. I just wanted to say that just to keep people safe and make people aware of what I'm going to be talking about. So I wanted to talk about how I worry about how people will perceive me if I do study medicine, and how they might, judge me or sort of come to some sort of conclusion about my ability to work as a doctor. And, I really desperately don't want that to happen. I want people to see that I'm, intelligent and caring and have the ability to do what I want to do. And I don't want my past to sort of define that and always be something that people are bringing back. Not that I've forgotten about my past, but I just don't want to be continually judged on that. So one of the issues that I have is that when I was unwell, I did self-harm, and so as a result, I have quite a lot of scarring on my arms. And as most of you will be aware, that when you're in a healthcare environment, a lot of the time you have to be bare below the elbows, which for me has been quite difficult. As someone that's a Muslim and I didn't tend to show my arms anyway, which in a way has meant I got away with it for such a long time that people don't really know that's there. And when I started working in healthcare and suddenly had to show my arms, it was a bit, I don't know what the word is to use, but it was quite difficult for me to suddenly show all of that and for people to know. I don't have an issue with people knowing that I self-harmed. I just would like to tell them in the way that I'm comfortable with, and not just be forced into it. But, I do know that going into a healthcare setting, it's something that I have to deal with. So when I first started as a healthcare support worker, just about a year and a half ago now, that was the first time that I'd shown my arms to anyone, really. And it was difficult, but everyone was great. No one was judgmental, no one was nasty about it, no one thought that I was crazy or anything like that. It was quite an okay experience for me, and in that role, the patients didn't really say anything. Like, I'd get the occasional, like, oh, what happened to your arms and stuff. I had someone be like, who was actually a carer in a care home, said to me, she was like, did your cat scratch you? I was like, no. And then when I moved to my most recent position as a phlebotomist, I had someone say to me, are they your tribal markings? Which kind of upset me in a way. I was a bit taken aback by her sort of like the forceful way in which she said it. And I said to her, I didn't really know what to say to her. So in the moment, I just said, no, I had mental health issues and that's what happened as a result. And she was just like, oh, okay. And, it's really hard when people question you and you're not quite prepared for it. And I do worry about going into medicine, in that I'll be permanently rotating between different roles, and I'll have to sort of like have that experience of people seeing my arms for the first time over and over and over again. And I think the way that I'll deal with it is just saying to people, you know, I just had some mental health difficulties, or, you know, I think it's good to be honest with people, not to just brush it off and be like, oh, right, you know, that's nothing, it's not your business or whatever. Because I think it does need to be raised, like to raise awareness of what people have been through, and to sort of encourage people that just because you have experienced that doesn't mean that that is going to define you forever. You may have the scars, you may have the signs. You know, it's hard for me because it's like a permanent reminder of what happened. But at the same time, it should be showing people that look where I've come from and look where I am now. And just because I went through that difficult time doesn't mean that that's where I'm going to be forever. Or at least I hope that you know, I've not self-harmed now since I think around 2014. So it's been a really long time. So that's like 11 years. And, you know, what led me to it in the first place was mostly I was having like really intrusive, horrible thoughts and sort of psychosis in terms of being told that that's what I had to do to myself. I was being told and shown images, which sounds a bit strange. I can't really explain it very well, I don't think, but shown images of what I had to do to myself. And at one point I believed that if I didn't do it, that I was going to be punished. And I had these thoughts that if I didn't do it, my illness was going to continue for longer. And every day I was being told and told and told, you're going to be punished for this and you're never going to get better. And to me, that was like a kind of, like I had to do it. But I used to get really upset when I did it because I could never do it right, if that makes sense. I was told that that if I didn't do it the right way, then yeah, I would be punished, and that the punishment was just to feel even worse in your mood and feel really low and really, you know, just, I don't really know how to say it, but I can understand now that that wasn't real and that wasn't really happening. But at the time, I genuinely thought that that's what was happening. So, yeah, that's what led me to do it. And that's what kept me in that sort of cycle of self-harm. Of it wasn't for sort of like attention-seeking reasons, which is what a lot of people believe happens when people self-harm. It wasn't for attention-seeking reasons. I didn't even tell people that I was doing it most of the time. But yeah, it's so when people do ask me about it, if it's people I know well, I don't mind telling them about what happened. But when people make presumptions about me, I find that really difficult. But like I say, it's something that if I study medicine and if I become a doctor, it's something that I'm going to have to, you know, revisit quite often, I think. And I just need to be prepared for that. So get my sort of like little spiel that I'm going to give to people ready, and sort of be able to do it, and to say to people like, yeah, that is where I was, that was part of my history, but look where I am now, you know, look where I've got to. And the scars may be there as a permanent reminder, but they're also my war wounds. They're my sort of like, yeah, just that constant reminder of look what you've come from and you've made it through it. And hopefully, I'm never going to be back in that place again. And I hope that anyone that is struggling with self-harm, I hope that they manage to get through it as well, and to realise that it's not real, those thoughts and feelings. And, you know, if you are doing it as a means of coping, then, you know, work with people to try and find some better ways of coping, and that just remember that things can get better. I'm going to leave it there for today. I hope that I've not said anything that's too, crazy or anything, but, I hope that gives some insight into what happened to me and where I go from here. Take care.